Today, I want to talk about the top business blood pressure number, but we're going to break it down by loan officer. We all know that the number is an average of all the loans and all the loan officers in your branch that closed loans for that given month. So to stay consistent, we're going to use some numbers that you're used to. Remember this example? This is when we compared a $2 million branch who made money to an $8 million branch who lost money. Here's a picture of the two together in our 8 KPI format. If you're not familiar with our lingo and the 8 KPIs, go back to an earlier lesson and it will bring you up to speed. Let's just skim across branch C102. The top business blood pressure number is 188. The bottom is 102, resulting in a CPI of 86. The LO comp was 158, resulting in a loss of 72 basis points. When I gave you my summary, this branch had two issues. The top business blood pressure was their main issue, and equally important, the LOs were being paid 158 basis points, 84% of the revenue. This is our first indicator that the LOs were discounting the rate sheet. What we suggest to do next here is troubleshoot this even deeper. If the 188 was a composite of all loans and all loan officers, let's just see which loan officers are discounting and by how much. Some members say this is like a team batting average, and then the individuals, it's like their own batting average. Since I don't know which LOS system you're using, but my example is showing someone who is using Encompass. This data should be readily available from any LOS that you're using. The report should show all the loans closed for the month by loan officer. Here's an example of a report and the fields you should pull: borrower's first and last name, the loan number, the loan officer, and the total loan amount. The loan type needs to be pulled because most of the time, the margin is different for each type of loan. For an example, government, conventional, jumbo, and any down payment assistance programs. This column is one that we added, and it will tell you the basis points for each loan. Simply revenue divided by loan amount for that loan. Let me back up here for a minute. Our output of top business blood pressure shows the total for the month of all loan officers and all loans. This report goes a little deeper, and it shows each loan and who was the loan officer that closed that loan. It's obvious I blurred out some fields. I changed the name of the loan officer to keep it confidential. Before we sort this report, let's look at the total closed, 8,126,412, just like our example shows. And the top business blood pressure total was 1.878 or 188 basis points, just like our example shows. Now let's sort this by LO. Here it is sorted, and you can see we inserted a line after each LO and totaled their production as a subtotal. Chris Jones closed two loans totaling $342,839, which brought in revenue of $5,229, which translates to Chris's top business blood pressure of 152, one of the discounters. John Doe, who is also the producing branch manager, closed $3.6 million with revenue of $82,505, and their top business blood pressure was 224. Might be some discounting here, but their number brought up the average. Now, I would have to know the type of loans and what margin was set on the rate sheet, but not nearly like Chris Jones. MJ Stevens only closed one loan for $338,420 and only brought in revenue of $4,669, reflecting only a top business blood pressure number of 138. Another discounter. Lastly, Pat Smith closed $3,758,950 with revenue of $60,185, resulting in the top business blood pressure of 160. A reminder here, the whole branch closed 8.1 million and had a consolidated top business blood pressure number of 188. So let's summarize. The branch manager, John Doe, had the best top business blood pressure at 224. Next was Pat Smith, who had a top business blood pressure number of 160. But let's look a little further as to the type of loans. If the loan type wasn't grayed out, I'm pretty sure we would see a large portion of Pat's loans were jumbo, which in most cases would have had a smaller required margin. Next up was Chris Jones, who only closed $342,839, two loans. Their top business blood pressure was only 152. And then MJ Stevens only closed one loan for 338,420 and had the lowest top business blood pressure of only 138. I want to make a few observations here. First of all, it looks like no one was getting the margin required on the rate sheet. Could the margin be too high for today's market conditions? Well, maybe. But here's the real issue. Remember, the total branch top revenue was only 188 basis points, and the LO comp payout was 158 basis points, 84% of the total revenue. So this is the issue. The market might be reflecting all the branch having a discount to get loans in. Maybe that's an adjustment that needs to be made. Maybe the margins were from refi mania. I don't know, but the comp needs to be adjusted right now to reset the business model. If the discounting of margin is going to continue, then the LO comp needs to be adjusted accordingly. I'm pretty sure the LO comp can still be adjusted quarterly, and we all know that my perspective is only looking out 90 days at a time anyway. Folks, you don't get to negotiate with math. The numbers are the numbers, and the company can't afford to keep losing $58,000 per month. It must stop, and the sooner the better. We already showed you that you can't make it up in volume. The challenge in reducing comp is the fear of losing the LO. Remember, the higher the comp, the higher the margin is required on the rate sheet. If they were to leave and go to XYZ Mortgage, the common practice with the bad guys is to offer a honeymoon rate sheet and then just ratchet it up a few basis points each week until they can make the numbers work. We all know that if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Trust me, this is a hard decision to make, and you've got one of two choices. Either adjust the LO comp, or if the losses continue, you may have to shut down the branch, or for that matter, the whole company. Stay tuned for one of the great transparency stories from one of my clients.